morning, Sonder fam. Welcome to our Sunday morning weekly setup. For those of you who may not know, my name is Bailey Grady, and I am dialing in from Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is just north of the Nashville area. Looking forward to diving in and getting ready for our week ahead. If you haven't already, make sure that your chat is set to everyone. There should be like a little blue box near where you type in the chat, and sometimes it will default to host and panelist. And if you have it set to host and panelist, not everyone will be able to see what you have to say and share. So definitely make sure that you set that to everyone, because one of the best parts about coming to these socials is that not only do you get some good, tips and tricks and things from me up on the screen, but you also will have tips and tricks being shared by your fellow Sonder fam community there in the chat. And you get to kind of spend time with them and be in community with one another today. So definitely make sure that you have your chat set for everyone. If you are new, first of all, welcome. Let us know if you're new here. And I see lots of returning folks, so welcome back to all of you. But if you're new, just so you know, what this is going to look like is, you'll notice like your mic and camera is off, so you don't have to worry about if you're having a bad hair day or if you're muted or not. Like all of that's taken care of. The only way that you'll communicate if you want to is in that chat. We're going to go through like an opening activity together and then a reflection, and then we'll get into our weekly setup, and I'll just be sharing some things up on the screen. And feel free to take like screenshots and stuff as we go through, ask questions in the chat. Myself and the amazing Jennifer O, who is here to help me today in the chat, are here to help you in the best ways that we can. But you also have, it looks like, about 90 other people here so far that are also going to be willing to give you suggestions and help out and let you know what they've tried and what works for them. So all that to say, don't be afraid to speak up. Also, as we go through, not only can you feel free to take screenshots and things, but if you want to take pictures of your journal once you get it all set and done, we'd love to see that in our app, Sonder Club, or on the social medias. If you do that, you can always tag Silk and Sonder on Instagram, and you never know. They may start trying to feature some of those on the Instagram. So real quick, I'll run through our community guidelines. First and foremost, please be kind and courteous to yourself and to others. No promotions or spam. We're going to respect everyone's privacy here. And of course, no hate speech or bullying. If you would try to limit repetitive project and accessory questions, we don't mind a few questions here and there. We just want to make sure like you guys get to chat about the topic at hand. If there's anything that myself and Jennifer cannot assist with, we will direct you over to the team at HQ using hello@silkandsonder.com. And then finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, which is all of you wonderful people here. But you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So that's a really fancy way of saying like, take what you need from this hour together. If you need to step back, if you need to take a break, do it. If you just need to be with your Sonder fam and hang out and be in the chat today and then do your setup later, that's fine, do that. If you need this time to just be for you and you don't want to participate in the chat, that's okay as well. If we touch on a topic today that feels, a little like crunchy or tough, like you don't have to like muddle through that today, right? If you're ready to tackle something tough, we're here to support you and encourage you. But if you're like, today is not the day that I plan to open these box of crunchy feelings, that's okay too. You can always come back to it later. Just take whatever it is that you need from this time with yourself and your community today. And speaking of community, we just have a few little things to go over in our little community corner. Basically, they're constantly releasing new things across Silk and Sonder, and it's honestly hard to keep up with it all. So HQ's kind of had this idea for us to do a little community corner so that we can kind of let you guys know what's new, what's upcoming, so that you know what to look for. I was in the Sonder Club app last week, and I was kind of going through like the daily rituals, and there's like mini meditations in there, and I did not realize how many of those little mini meditations are in there now. So it's crazy how much stuff they're constantly coming up with, and it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on. So we're just gonna do a little community corner of like new things that you may not know about or that are upcoming that you may not realize are on the horizon. So first and foremost, if you are using the Silk and Sonder Life Coach, there's going to be a new feature coming up, kind of like My Life as a Movie is like the prompt, and it's going to be directly tied into some of those personality tests and things that you took during your onboarding. And I think that this is probably going to be the first of many of these types of prompts where it's starting to lean more into those personality types and things, which is really cool. It already makes suggestions, I think, about like potential like books and things, which is pretty cool as well. So something to check out for sure. This launched recently, like within the last couple weeks. Again, if you're on personalized coaching, you can now update your wheel of life, and that will directly update that emotional health score and everything. So you should be able to go in and do that now. If you're in your personalized coaching, if you go to personality and like the drop down menu and then scroll down, you should be able to find your wheel of life. They also launched a text to speech journaling prompt within coaching, which is great if you're like somebody that's super busy and like struggles to find time to like journal and be in the life coach and like get your steps in, right? You could actually, in theory, like do a little journal prompt while you do your evening walk, which is kind of nice because sometimes I just need to talk it out anyway, to be honest with you. We also have a new exclusive event this month, and Jennifer O is going to be hosting it. She was just telling me about it before we started this. So, something to check out for sure if you're able to attend. The theme is going to be Rewrite Your Fairy Tale, and you know that she always comes up with amazing things and ways of like looking at everything. So, she's got this already in the works for you all. So, if you can attend, definitely check that out. Also, I mentioned before that there are all kinds of new things in the Sonder Club app. If you haven't gone to like the content library in a while, like I have a tendency to just go into the Sonder Club app and just go straight to like the community board where like people are posting things. But there's a whole bunch of like daily rituals and stuff in there. And one of them that I think is newer is this human design daily ritual. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already. And lastly, if you're on Instagram, excuse me, if you're on Instagram and you're not already following Silk and Sonder, definitely go give them a follow. They post all kinds of fun things all the time, like these little 7 journal prompts for your mid-year reset and pick your dream journaling escape. So definitely check them out if you're not already on there because they are posting some great things there as well. So all kinds of stuff that they are putting out for us all the time, right? Beth Ann, it should be, hold on, I have the link for it that I can send you. It should be in the Sonder Club app if you go into the content library, but then I just dropped the chat as well. That might take you to it. You may have to click on it like on a phone, I'm not sure. But that should take you over to that daily ritual that's highlighted. So without further ado, we're going to get into our meat and potatoes of today. So we'll start with our enchantment mind map. So for those of you that do not know, in our weekly setups, we do something that is exclusive to the weeklies, where we have a prompt for the week that's geared towards our theme, and we call it our mind map. So that's what we'll be starting out with today. Then we're going to do a rosebud thorn exercise, which is where we reflect on the last 7 days and kind of what happened last week before we say goodbye to that week and start getting into our setup for next week. So that's what we're going to do today. And as many of you are already talking about in the chat, our new theme for this month of August is enchantment. And boy, I am ready for this theme. Those of you that have been with Silk and Sonder for a while and come to socials all the time know that like whimsy is like one of my core values. It's just part of who I am. I believe very strongly in like that bottom quote that says we shouldn't be afraid to embrace whimsy, that nagging idea that life could be magical, it could be special if we were only willing to take a few rests. So this theme should be like very on brand for me, right? But I'll be honest, July was like a really stressful month for me. It kind of came out of nowhere, and I definitely like hit some burnout things with work. And so, like, as this theme came around the corner, I was kind of like, oh no, I don't really feel like I'm in the mindset for like enchantment. What's wrong with me, right? Like, this should be like, this should be my thing, right? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the headspace for this. But then I took a breath and I was like, you know what? that means that this couldn't have come at a better time for me, because this is such a core part of like who I am and my spirit and like what I believe in and how I live my life. And if I'm feeling detached from that, then that is a very like clear message for me that like this is definitely the time that you need to slow down. You need to like pour into yourself, make sure that you have moments to be you and be yourself and take a look at what's going on around you, right? Because if I'm feeling detached from that and I know that that's a core part of who I am, then that is a huge sign that I have been very stressed and I definitely need this theme to lean into, right? So, yes, exactly, April. Like, it's sometimes those themes that either come at what feels like a weird time, or maybe it's a theme that you're like, ooh, I don't know if this one is going to be for me, end up being the best themes. And it ends up being like the perfect time for something like that to show up. Because if you're feeling resistance towards it, there's something going on there, right? Like, there's some reason for us to kind of like dig in and feel what's going on. So I love all these little quotes that we have up on the screen here. You know, romanticize your life, take pretty pictures, feel like the main character, light up a candle, read books, go for a walk, dance to your favorite music, buy yourself presents, do whatever you want, be happy. This is your life. Don't let anyone take it from you. And I think that quote kind of shows how this kind of can be the perfect next step coming off of independence, because sometimes like the only thing that's gonna make your life, like, enchanting and magical is you, right? It's you taking the time that you need to have the perspective to notice the little things. I think I saw somebody said something about, like, birds chirping or, like, bird song. Absolutely. Totally magical, right? Like, they're just, like, yelling at each other, right? The birds outside, like, they're singing these pretty little songs, but actually they could be, like, screaming at each other. But for us, it's, like, delightful, right? We're like, "Oh, what a happy song." But isn't it nice that that's the noise? Like, it could have been any weird noise that birds could make, but instead they give us these like beautiful songs that we can enjoy just because that's how they communicate with one another. You know, it could be something as simple as like steam rising off of your morning coffee and just paying attention to how it swirls and, you know, all the little tiny things that like just are, but, like, noticing that they are, and noticing that they could have been anything else, right? It could have been anything else. The sky is blue. What if it was pink? Like, we could have lived under a pink sky. Like, it's just there's so many things that are just we accept as normal and we accept as just standard. But really, when you start to think about the fact that they could have been different, you start to realize just how like enchanting they actually are and how wonderful it is that it is blue, because blue is such a calming color to us, right? Um, so slowing down and just making sure that you're taking time to kind of find that and look for those little things and asking yourself like, huh, that's interesting actually that this is the way that it is, because what if it was something else? And also that gets you back in touch with your imagination, which is never a bad thing. So she's still there. She's hanging out. She just, you got to go knock on her door. Yeah. So I hope that all of you make some time to kind of slow down and pay attention to some things. And our prompt today is maybe going to help with that a little bit. So go ahead and turn into a blank page or space in your journal. This isn't pre-printed anywhere. For those of you that plan on joining us for every weekly setup, you might want to set up a specific page for this, or you can always just do this on a blank page or scratch pad in your journal. So we are kind of looking at what if enchantment isn't something reserved for fairy tales, but something already woven into the corners of your life, waiting to be noticed. Exactly what we were just talking about, right? So over the next several weeks, you're going to be guided through a series of journaling reflections designed to help you map enchantment in your world, exploring the people, places, objects, memories, and quiet moments that awaken something sacred, spark joy, or simply make you pause and smile. So this week we are taking a look at the time of day when the world feels enchanted. So consider the natural rhythms of your day that align with your sense of beauty or calm. For example, early morning fog, the golden hour of the rising or setting sun, or the silence of late night. How do you feel during these times, and what rituals or reflections come easiest then? So essentially asking you like, hey, is there a time of day that you know that you tend to notice these things more? Do you tend to like look up at the sky more often in the morning? Do you do it in the evening? Do you do it at night when you look at the stars, right? When are the little moments in your life that you notice that you pay attention to these things? Or maybe it's like quiet moments where you notice that you tend to pour more into yourself, right? You kind of have a check-in with yourself and you're like, "Ooh, I wanna do some journaling. I'm gonna do some journaling and spend some time with myself. I'm gonna open my journal. I'm gonna spend time looking at prompts." Like, is that a set schedule thing that you do? Is there a time of day where you do it more often? If it is a set schedule time of day, that's amazing. But is there like another time of day maybe that you also feel like pulled towards doing those things and slowing down, or maybe doing a different kind of self-care, like taking a long bath, doing the extra face mask, like whatever it is that works for you, taking that like nice quiet walk outside, right? So don't worry, don't panic. I will go back to the other slide in a second, but also the prompt is there in the middle of the screen if you're still looking at it. So I have my mind map here, and then I have some little quotes for inspiration. For me, early evening or late afternoon, when I have the time to be slow, and I'm often able to invest in self-care during that time. Like that's when I find myself doing long showers, maybe going for an outdoor walk, journaling, etc. And also slow weekend mornings or rainy middays when like I have the time to slow down, like maybe I had all of these plans, right? But sometimes the rain can throw a wrench in my plan, and I'm, like, realizing the irony as I say this because I was just complaining to Jennifer O that it's been raining too much here lately. But maybe it's been good for me, because I think the rain does make me kind of, like, pause and reevaluate my day and look for different things that I could do, and if I had a lot of, like, productivity planned, sometimes the rain forces me to rest, and when I am rested, I'm a lot more likely to notice the little things, right? Um, but essentially, like being present and times where I'm willing to sort of remove distractions and delay obligations, and spend time with just me and my senses or engage in an activity that invokes them. I think in those moments, I feel kind of free, right? It's these small pockets of like, "Oh, suddenly my plans were canceled," right? Or what I hoped to do today, there is now a roadblock in my way. Or it's too late to do the one thing, but too early to do the other thing. So now I have this like slice of freedom. And I think that's when I'm really able to kind of like slow down and notice things and, create opportunities where I can do that a little bit more. So I'm gonna hop back and forth between these slides so that you can kind of work on your page, and also you'll be able to read those little quotes for inspiration there. And I'll put on a song for you while you think. If you feel comfortable sharing your time of day, and why maybe it makes you feel that way and the things that you notice, we would love to hear that in the chat. So I'll put on a song and then we'll move into our next prompt together. Thank you all so much for spending some time with this. I'm excited to see what our prompt for next week is and the next week and kind of how it kind of like all unfolds together and what it helps us learn. So we are now going to do our rosebud thorn reflection exercise. So thinking about the last 7 days before we head into our weekly setup, you can do this on page 30 of your journal. It should be there on page 30, but you can also do it anywhere in your journal or anytime, really. Lots of people like to do a rosebud thorn exercise kind of throughout their days, or just think of a daily rose even to kind of like give them some perspective and balance. So a rose is what went well. It could be a bright spot, something that made you smile in the last 7 days, that warm, fuzzy thing, right? A bud is what could bloom, so what's on the horizon. It could be something that you're looking forward to, or it might be something that you're a little nervous about, or both. And then a thorn is maybe something that didn't go so well, something that you could use some support with, something that made last week kind of tough. So I like to do these in reverse. So my thorn is that I just had some really high stress and unkind anxiety. Um, I have generalized anxiety, so it's always kind of with me, but last week, especially Monday, it was definitely churning some thoughts and things that were just not fair and were kind of unkind. And, thankfully I was able to recognize that and kind of segue and stop all of that. But it was still not a fun moment for sure. My bud is that I've got some new systems in place and at work that will hopefully help with a lot of that stress. It's new, so it'll take a little bit of time for it to kind of get going and provide relief, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that is the important part for now. And then my rose is that I went to the doctor on Thursday and had a really great visit. I feel like anytime I go to the doctor and like I can feel seen and heard and like really listened to. Like that's always a really nice experience. And it doesn't always happen that way. So that was kind of a bright spot. And then also a member of my team who does not report to me directly, like really opened up to me last week. And it was like kind of a really special moment. And I feel really, I don't know, I guess honored that she felt comfortable talking to me. So that was another like really big moment and things. So those are my rosebud and thorn for last week. I'm going to put on some music for you all to think about your rosebud and thorn. And remember, like, you don't think too hard about it, right? Your rose might be that last week is over, or it might be some of the things that we just talked about in our mind map, like those little things that are really magical that kind of like change the course of your day. And sometimes a thorn is just like you just felt blah or like it wasn't great or it just, it doesn't have to get super specific. The goal is to just get that pen to paper and kind of get it out so that we can kind of be cleared for our week ahead next week. So I'll put on some music for you all and then we'll move into our next prompt together. Thank you all for spending some time with this. Please continue to share in the chat if you are working on typing up your rosebud thorn to share in the chat. This is definitely one of my favorite exercises that we do because it kind of really helps us to connect into each other's lives here. We are now going to hop into our main event, which is our weekly setup on pages 32 and 33 this week. We're going to start on page 32 with the section titled This Week I Want to Feel. So, kind of thinking about the next 7 days, or maybe even thinking about what happened last week and if there is a feeling you want to continue, or maybe something you want to call in to have a different week ahead, or if there's a specific feeling that you need when you think about moving through the next 7 days. I always like to reference my word of the year here, which is serenity. And this week, I want to create space for serenity by giving myself the rest and care that I need. So that is what I'm putting in this space. There's a little word cloud there for inspiration. And then we have all of these wonderful examples from all of you. And you can see very clearly that it doesn't have to be one word. It can be multiple words. It can be a quote. It can be a song lyric. Whatever you need to put in this space to kind of call in a feeling as you head into the week ahead. So I'll put on a quick song for you all, and then we'll move into our next section. All right. We are going to hop on down to our middle sections of weekly to-dos and weekly major three goals. So I always kind of reference the little calendar here, and my weekly to-dos are like my commitments and things that I have for the week, things that I need to do. And then for weekly major three goals, I actually do my weekly affirmations that are given to me through the personalized coach. I get my plans delivered weekly, and it comes with 3 affirmations. So those are my weekly affirmations for the week. And then I kind of try to come up with like 3 very general to-dos to sort of support those affirmations. So that's kind of how I use these sections, but you can use them in whatever way speaks to you. This example over on the left, somebody actually decided to like weave in their how they want to feel into the major weekly three, into the to-dos, and then into the habits and activities. So they wanted to nurture themselves, and then the flowers have like 3 words on them that are kind of their areas of focus for the major goals. And then on the to-dos, they are supporting those goals, and then the habits and activities are the actual actions that they're going to do to make that happen. So this person has like woven everything in on this first page, and it is so cute, super amazing. But you don't have to do that. You can take it one section at a time. You can like marry just these 2 sections like the people did over on the right, where they've kind of got a focus for their major three and then they've got some to-dos to support it. Or you can keep everything just totally separate in its own category. If you have a super busy week ahead, you might want to take a look at that Eisenhower decision matrix on the top right. Oh, and again, I will cycle back through all of these slides while you're working, so don't worry, it'll come back. If you find yourself writing the same things on your to-do list over and over again, you may want to check out the Pomodoro technique there in sort of the middle leftish there at the top in pink. You can put reminders here or do a traditional to-do list. You could try doing if-then statements, like if you do this thing, then you will feel better. It kind of helps to tie in the why and sometimes can be motivating. You do not have to focus on productivity though. You can like flip the script and do the total opposite. Instead of doing to-dos, you could do to-dos where you list out all the things that you get done rather than all the things you need to do. And then at the end of the week, you'll be able to see everything you got accomplished, and it just feels different. It sits different. So sometimes that's a good like switch up. You can also do a to be list or a need, want, hope list. It does not have to be solely focused on productivity. You can think about you and what you need. You can use this space to set up a new routine, whether it's morning or evening. I know several of you probably have kiddos going back to school soon, or maybe you're teachers, and that means you're going back to school. So you may need to think about your routines and consider using some of this space to establish that. Doing a bingo can always be a fun way to like gamify your to-dos, but definitely check in with yourself and see if maybe you need to give yourself permission to like embrace and release things, or maybe you need a list of do's and don'ts for the week. When in doubt, stickers are always welcome. I always say if it's making you smile, it's serving a purpose. So don't be afraid to stick those stickers. Here are some other ideas for you. You can focus on areas of focus in those weekly major three section. You could do affirmations or some other form of self-care like I do. You could support that how you want to feel, like we saw at the beginning, or use actual goals, commitments, and accountability. You can always switch things up too, or repurpose these sections, right? Like I see people all the time, they move the goals over to the to-dos, and then they put their to-dos over where the goals are because they like the grid lines for their to-dos. There are no rules with your journal. You can move things around to wherever you need them to be. You could repurpose to like a list of movies and TV shows, do a self-care jar, quotes or mantras, song lyrics, anything. This space is yours. You also don't have to fill it in. If you're like, I don't think I want to do to-dos, that's going to stress me out even more. Don't do them. Just skip it. Do something else. So I'll put on some music for you and I'll cycle back through these songs. Definitely let us know what works best for you in these sections, what you're deciding to put down, and then we'll move into our next sections together. With those to-dos and focuses set, we are now going to hop on down to the habit and activity tracker. I use this as a little stress check-in with myself. It definitely helps with my mind-body connection. I've been doing that for a couple months now, and I think it's the only reason that I have been able to stay ahead of burnout. So I'm going to continue to do that. But this can be a great place for goal setting, especially if it's something you only want to do a few times a week, or maybe it's just something that you want to focus on for this particular week, right? It's not something that you want to necessarily focus on every day. If you do set goals, you might consider setting a reward for yourself as well if you achieve those goals, or you do not have to set a goal. You can just cross out that little column there and just track things as they happen. You also do not have to fill in every line here. You can just fill in a couple. This can also be a great place to like track routine setting if you need to do that, whatever it is that you need out of this space. You can also try focusing more on activities over habits. Maybe, it is still summer. We've still got a little bit of time. So maybe think about adding in some ways to sort of savor the season before it goes away, leaning into that enchantment, right? Kind of noticing the longer days before they're short days again and things like that. So you may want to put some intentional activities in there for yourself. Track something, like totally different, like connection with others. Like maybe you want to make sure that you're checking in with friends and family, doing those sorts of things. Life is really busy sometimes, and it can be hard to remember to check in with folks, even when we intend to. So this can be a good place to do that. You can also track progress in your journal here. So like, are you checking on those intentions like Jennifer mentioned? Are you doing your daily habit wheel and your mood tracker and checking in with all of those things. If you are, awesome, you could put it here, and then that's a nice, like, easy win for yourself of like, yep, I'm doing that. Yep, I did that. But especially if you're just getting started, that can be a great way to build some momentum. So I'll put on a quick song for us all while you fill in this section, and then we'll go to our next page. We are going to flip our page, and on that next page, we're going to start with a section titled Meal Plan. Now, this section gets repurposed a lot, not because having a meal plan or a meal tracker is a bad thing. It can be a really good thing depending on what your goals are, but it takes up quite a bit of space in your journal each week, and the format is just really great for so many things because you've got like a little chunk for every single day right there. I use it for my work meetings and then also kind of like a brain dump for the weekend because I don't typically work on the weekends. And what I have going on there. You can see all the different ways that people use this here. Some folks absolutely do use it to meal plan and meal track. So if that's you, don't feel like you have to change what you're doing if it's working for you. Some folks make this more like food for the soul, right? And so they do some journaling prompts here, or they try to use it for like productivity and organization. You can see all kinds of repurposed ideas there on the left-hand side. And then here are some more examples, more journal prompts. You can also see over on the right-hand side, there's somebody that puts their to-dos here. And that makes total sense to me because you can kind of break it down throughout the week if you need to, right? Like on Monday, I need to do this. On Tuesday, I need to do that. Again, that format is just really good for a lot of things. You can also see in the bottom right-hand corner, somebody that is using the personalized coaching platform did some of their journaling prompts in there. This can be a great place to put affirmation. Keep up with other people's schedules. Like if you're responsible for like coordinating little ones, or maybe you've got like multiple organizations and things you're a part of, this is kind of help you keep the household organized as well, if that's something that typically falls onto your shoulders. So I'll put on some songs for you again, and then we'll move into our next section together and kind of get close to wrapping up our time together. It always goes by way too fast. All right. We're now hopping over to the mind body health plan and shopping list section. So I just combine these two together in my setups with you all because I've started noticing that like some people that don't use the shopping list will kind of change it into some different things. And then some people that don't use the mind body health plan change it into those same things. They're kind of both little similarly sized squares. So a lot of the ideas for one work for the other and so on. I've kind of been trying some different things out in the mind body health plan spot for a while. Like something will stick for a couple of weeks and then it kind of stops working, or it doesn't, I don't find myself like drawn to it as much anymore. So this week I tried something a little different that I got from one of you. This was one of y'all's ideas at some point. I think I have another example of it, but there's a little quote right there in your journal, right above that mind body health plan. And I have always like loved those little quotes. I do pay attention to those, but I've never used the space to kind of reflect on that little quote. So that's what I did this week, and I really, really enjoyed it. So we'll see if this one sticks for me. And then the shopping list is intended for me, sort of. It's not stuff I intend to buy this week. It's just things that I intend to buy at some point, and keeping them here keeps me from like buying impulsively, and also forgetting that I intend to buy the things. So it serves both purposes. And then underneath my shopping list, kind of similar, I do like a running list of like long project to dos. Again, things that there's no way that I'm going to actually complete or finish this week. But if I don't write them down every week, I just lose sight of them in general. And then if I have a day where plans get canceled because of weather or whatever, and I could work on one of those things, I don't, because I just forget that it's even on my to dos. So that's what I do with those sections. You can see some examples here of how other folks have used them. Some people put their own quote of the week in this section or reflect on the one above that, like I have. People will use it for like Wordle or word of the day, kind of things that they already do to engage their mind each day. You could use it for a packing list. You could take a moment to focus in on the theme, do little mini bingos and things of that nature. If you are going to use it as a mind body health plan, please make sure that you are planning time for rest. Rest is arguably the most important thing that we can do when it comes to our health because everything else requires energy and requires us to be rested. So definitely make sure that you're carving out some time to rest if you are carving out a plan. This can also be a great space for, again, stickers, or if you do anything on a weekly basis, like if you pull cards, if you read scripture, if you kind of reflect, if you listen to like podcasts or anything and want to jot down like a little quote or something from the podcast, this can be a great place to kind of track that progress or track those things that speak to you in those moments. So, you know the drill. I'll put on a song for you all, and then we're gonna close out our time together. I know it always flies by somehow, so all right. If you can believe it, that's going to wrap up our time together today. As we close out, there is one more spot in your weekly setup in the bottom right corner. It's the I'm loving section. And if you feel comfortable sharing what you're loving in this moment, we would love to hear from you. For me, I'm loving my progress. Last week was a hard week, but even in the tough moments, the way I reacted, the way I processed, I was able to see that the tools and things I have in my toolkit really work. And I am still in like such a better spot and place now than I used to be. And even when I have tough weeks, like it still works and things are better than they used to be. And so it's kind of nice, even even though it was kind of a tough week, it's kind of nice to see that all the things that I've done have definitely worked and made some progress. So that's what I'm loving currently. If you'd like to share your loving, we would love to hear from you. Also, if you'd like to share your planner and your setup, we would love to see that as well, both on the Silk and Sonder app, which is called Sonder Club, or if you feel comfortable sharing on Instagram, if you tag Silk and Sonder, I know that they will see it and they would love to see your pages. I think they're wanting to be active a little more on Instagram with the community. Not that we're stepping away from Sonder Club by any means. Don't worry, that's not going anywhere. But trying to do like some more fun like highlights and things for folks that are on that side of the electronic world. We talked about the personalized life coach today some. There is like a 14-day trial still going on as well. Jennifer will pop some links into the chat for you all. And I can pop in all the links from earlier today in Community Corner. But if you haven't tried it, that 14-day free trial is the perfect time to give it a try and see if it's going to work for you. And then I will share my link to my playlist. I just kind of have a giant master Silk and Sonder playlist now that I pull song from, but I'll be happy to share that with you all. And thank you so much for being here today and spending time with you and with your community and carving out this hour for yourself. We always love being able to be here with you guys. It's the best start to our days as well. So thank you for being here for yourself and for being here with us. Until next time, be good to each other, and we'll see you all in Sonder Club.
I am unwritten, can't read my mind. I'm undefined. I'm just beginning, the pen's in my hand, ending unplanned. Staring at the blank page before you, open up the dirty window, let the sun illuminate the words that you could not find. Reaching for something in the distance, so close you can almost taste it. Release your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can speak the words on your lips. Drench yourself in words unspoken, live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins, the rest is still unwritten. Yeah. Oh. I break tradition. Sometimes my tries are outside the line. Yeah. We've been conditioned to not make